Live from Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, a sellout crowd on hand to watch the Minnesota Vikings open the 1988 season against the Buffalo Bills. 70 degrees the temperature here, a little muggy but quite pleasant. Rain is forecast, right now just cloudy skies. Hello everybody, I'm Tim Ryan here at Rich Stadium, and welcome to this yet another season of NFL football. Two teams with lofty expectations. The Minnesota Vikings just a breath away from the Super Bowl a year ago. The Buffalo Bills, who finished strong. Their non-strike team 6-6, and they feel they've got a shot at it all this year. With me, my analyst is Dan Jiggets. And Dan, certainly the quarterback question in Minnesota got settled this week. Both players doing well during the preseason. Jerry Burns is going with Wade Wilson.
He is. He said, Wade, you're my guy. Wade didn't do anything to lose the job all preseason long. It was 6 yards away from the Super Bowl last year. That thing is settled. Tommy Kramer's not going to accept it easily, though.
Well, now here in Buffalo, there's no quarterback controversy. They've really just got Jim Kelly, but he's a real good one. Offensively, Andre Reed, Chris Burkett to throw to. They should be tough.
They should be tough, but they're going to have some problems on defense where they lost Bruce Smith. A big loss now for that defense, but they still got Cornelius Bennett, Shane Conlon. Ought to be a heck of a day for the Buffalo Bills. It's a gut check time for them, though, and now we're going to see whether or not they're deserving of a divisional title.
All right, we're ready to play football. 80,000 roaring fans anticipating the start of this new season. The Bills will kick it off. Darrell Harris, a rookie, is standing at the goal line. It'll be Scott Norwood with the first kick of the year. Darrell Harris stopped by Steve Tasker. The Vikings getting the ball out to the 22-yard line, and Wade Wilson brings on the Viking offense, and he will be facing this Buffalo defensive line we should have up there. Those guys you'll see later. Right now we have first down for the Minnesota Vikings at their own 24-yard line. Alfred Anderson, the first carry of the day, and gets about 2 yards stacked up by the middle of that Bills front. Art Still at the bottom of it. Art Still, the veteran that came over from Kansas City. On the nose, Fred Smirlis, and on the right end, replacing Bruce Smith, it'll be Leon Seal, the second-year man. Bennett, Conlon, Ray Bentley, and Darrell Talley, pretty tough across the linebacking core. Burrows and Odoms are the corners. Mark Kelso and the veteran Dwight Drain, the secondary for Buffalo. Second down, a long 7. Hassan Jones in motion. Darren Nelson to the 46-yard line of Buffalo. Forced out by Mark Kelso.
Boy, you know, Darren Nelson went right off. Now, look at the left side of your screen. You see Art Still, number 72. He comes inside a little bit, gets hooked down by the tight end, Jordan, 83. Darren takes it the rest of the way. Burrows came up into the line of scrimmage trying to react to the play. Got trapped in there, and there goes Darren Nelson. He's off to the races.
Darren Nelson, I don't think was expected to start this quickly. He has been a holdout during the Vikings camp, has not had a lot of work. In fact, as Steve Jordan said last night, he hasn't even been hit yet. Well, he didn't get hit on that play. First down, Vikings. Ball batted away at the line of scrimmage.
And apparently intercepted.
Well, that's an interception. Cornelius Bennett got it for the Bills.
The key play here is Art Still, 72. Watch him block the pass. 6-7. He just jumps up, slaps it down. Cornelius very alertly down on the ground, picks the ball up. Here's another look at it. Low angle now. There you see Art blocking the ball. Now watch Cornelius. It goes off of Anderson's back, and Cornelius is alert enough to pick the ball up. Boy, this guy should have an S on his chest instead of a 55.
Oh, you're not kidding. That is a superb play. So the Bills have their first offensive play with Jim Kelly at quarterback. And he tripped. Got it off nonetheless to Andre Reed. A gain of about 4. Carl Lee forced him out. Jim Kelly Number 12, the third-year man out of Miami. Their number 2 pick in '83, went to the USFL, didn't want to come to Buffalo. Now he loves it. And he'll face this Minnesota defensive unit. Al Noga for the holdout, Doug Martin, along with Thomas, Millard, and Dolman. Linebackers Howard, Studwell, and Solomon. Second down and 3. Thurman Thomas, the rookie from Oklahoma State. First down, Buffalo. To the 36-yard line, Joey Browner made the stop. Joining Thurman Thomas in the backfield, the fullback Jamie Mueller. The wide receivers are Reed and Burkett. Across the front, Walford, Richer, Hull, Vogler, Devlin, and the tight end Keith Metzelaars. First down, Bills. 36-yard line, Minnesota. High formation. Burkett, first down, Buffalo, near the 20-yard line of the Minnesota Vikings. Carl Lee on the stop.
Chris Burkett caught a nice slant pattern that time. Carl Lee sitting back there. You see him now. He's running. Can't react fast enough to Burkett. And these guys caught 57 balls last year, 56 and 55 respectively. 3, 4, and 5 in the AFC. They've got good receivers and also Ronnie Harmon coming out of that backfield. But they don't expect anything other than catching the football from a guy like Chris Burkett.
16-yard gain on that one. Kelly to throw again. Wide open underneath is Reed inside the 10. First down and goal. Carl Lee made the stop, but Kelly is coming out like the machine gun man he is.
Yeah, you know, remember about a machine gun. A machine gun shoots often, but it doesn't shoot very far. This Buffalo offense is really designed around a short passing game, and that's the reason why these guys don't have big numbers in terms of yardage, but you see they know how to catch that football.
Kelly trying to quiet the crowd, but these guys are fired up. It's opening day in Buffalo. The team they think can win the title, at least in the AFC East. Thurman Thomas, the rookie. Joey Browner, good defensive play. Held him to little, if any, gain. They'll spot it right at the 10-yard line. Pro Bowler Joey Browner, the strong safety, number 47.
And see, what you ask your strong safety to do is automatically force the play, and that's what Joey Browner does. Comes up and makes that guard make a read right now. And that time, 65, Vogler was coming around the corner, got bumped a little bit and couldn't get to Joey. And, you know, even if you get to him, he's going to give you a tough time at the corner.
That'll be second and goal. Kelly for the corner, and it's broken up. Isaac Holt, number 30, got a hand on the football intended for Andre Reed in the corner, number 83.
Boy, I tell you what, Isaac Holt is beat on this play, though. Luckily, Jim Kelly threw the ball just a little bit too far into the field. Now watch Reed. Now he's wide open. Now Isaac Holt, if Jim Kelly floats that ball to the back of the end zone, it's 6 points. Isaac Holt is in the wrong position to make that play, but he did it. You see him with his Darth Vader glass on.
Third and goal. Holt comes out on Trumaine Johnson this time, number 86. 3 wide receivers in for the Bills. Kelly, lots of time, but he has to throw it out of the end zone. Good coverage.
Good catch in the end zone there by one of the fans as well.
Joey Browner and Isaac Holt actually collided, but they had their men covered and then went for the ball, but it was floated into row 10 there by Kelly.
And that's another adjustment on the pass interference call this year that you won't see call, is that jostling that goes on between the defensive back and the receiver. There's some new rules on that, and we'll get around to those later in the game.
Scott Norwood will attempt the field goal try, and they'll spot the ball at the 17-yard line, so it'll be a 27-yard attempt. Norwood had his longest ever in preseason, a 54-yarder against Cincinnati. Not known as a long kicker, but a very accurate one. This is definitely his range. And the Buffalo Bills, with a 27-yard field goal on a smart opening drive, have taken the lead. 3-0. Well, there's the man of the moment, Jim Kelly, 3 of 5 on that drive after Bennett made the interception. They marched down the field, going 45 yards in 8 plays, using up 2:24 on the clock, and the Vikings stopped them from scoring the touchdown as Kelly was forced to throw one through the end zone. But Norwood's field goal has Buffalo on top, 3-0.
And the whole key to that drive was a turnover. Cornelius Bennett on the interception after Art Still tipped the ball.
Norwood's kickoff to the left corner. It's taken by Darrell Harris at the 6. Hit hard at the 15, bounces off. What a fine return by that young guy. He ran into one of his own men, or he might have picked up another 10 yards or so. The rookie Darrell Harris from Arizona State, a free agent, has the ball out over the 30-yard line of the Vikings, a 25-yard return.
If you're the special teams coach of the Vikings, you look at something like that and you tell your guys, hey, look, I don't want you standing around on the field. Start throwing some blocks, because you can spring a guy like a Darrell. He can go to distance. You see how small he is. You can't see him back there.
So there's first down at the 30-yard line for Minnesota. Their second offensive series. Aaron Nelson. Loss on the play. Leon Seals, the man filling the shoes of Bruce Smith, makes the stop, stripping through the blockers for the grab.
You know, Tim, every now and then opportunity knocks in life, and Leon Seals is smart enough to recognize when opportunity's knocking on his door. Unfortunately, it's due to the misfortune of Bruce Smith, but he knows that this is his opportunity to make a big mark in the NFL. This is a very, very big game in terms of his total career, and he's going to take full advantage of it. I think you're going to see a lot of good action out of Leon Seals today.
A number 6 pick a year ago from Jackson State. Second and 10. Rick Finney. Good running by the beefy fullback from Washington. Seals ranged all the way over from the right side to the left to catch up with Finney. A misdirection play that was effective for a first down, Minnesota.
But don't forget now, Leon Seals could possibly be a linebacker. At least that's how they thought of him when he first came in. Now you see a little play-action move there by Zimmerman off the draw. Now Seals is fast enough to catch most running backs, particularly a big fullback like Finney, who's 240 pounds. He just tracks him down sideline to sideline.
Excellent job by Seals, but a fine run by Finney has Minnesota up at their own 42. Wilson, a deep drop. He's going to run. Close to the first down for Wade Wilson before Shane Conlon, number 58, the linebacker from Penn State, stopped him.
That's one of the things Wade Wilson brings to the Vikings that Jerry Burns is really enamored with, is the fact that Wade Wilson can run the football if he gets in trouble. Now, Tommy's had a little trouble doing that in the recent past because of all the various injuries, but Jerry said, hey, look, that gives me another dimension with my offense. So you got to go with that, at least until he fails, and I don't think he's going to fail anytime soon.
Well, the fact is, most of the really top quarterbacks around the league can run a little bit these days. First down. Darren Nelson. Again, a good defensive play, tripped up by Ray Bentley, the linebacker, finished off by Leon Seals.
Well, Tim, Darren Nelson finally got hit.
Yes, he did, by 2 guys. And he held on to the ball.
Well, maybe that'll answer Steve Jordan's question if he's going to hang on to it, though.
Picked up 2 yards. It'll be 2nd and 8. Steve Jordan saying, hey, you know, we need Darren. We love him, but we're just not sure that he's totally ready, having missed much of the preseason. 2nd and 8. Forced from the pocket. Wilson intended for Anderson, incomplete. The rush from Smirlis and Art Still.
The Vikings were trying to set up a screen on that side, but unfortunately Wade got flushed out pretty quickly by Freddie Smirlis. The Vikings offensive line, there you see Kurt Loudermilk, number 63. He's the center. He's responsible for that nose tackle. Even on a screen pass, you have to hold that nose tackle up enough to let your quarterback drop and at least set up the appearance of a pass so that you can get everybody out to the side to run the screen. That time, Kurt Loudermilk didn't really do it.
So it brings up 3rd and 8, Minnesota. Crowd arousing the defense. Intended for Leo Lewis, a little high, and he did not hold on. 4th down.
Wade Wilson overthrew his receiver here just a little bit, but now watch the pressure on him. He's got 4 guys coming at him up front. And one of those guys is Cornelius Bennett. A lot of pressure there. He gets rid of the ball, and it's way over the receiver's head, Leo Lewis. That's something it takes a little while to make that adjustment. He'll make it, no problem, the rest of the day.
So Wilson still looking for a completion. He is 0 for 3, and I want to tell you, this crowd is absolutely involved in every play of this football game. Errol Tucker is back to receive the punt from Bucky Scribner, who hits it from the 44 of Minnesota. And the ball goes through the end zone, touchback, and the Bills have stopped the Vikings on 2 successive series. They will have the ball at their own 20 following a 46-yard punt by Scribner. It's 3-0 Buffalo.
And there's a look at Marv Levy, the head coach here at Buffalo. Marv has really organized this program here, Tim. Everybody says that from the top down. You notice that organizational skill that he has. Ralph Wilson, the owner of the team, says that's the thing that he really likes is everybody's on the same page now. The players talk in the same terms as the coaches. And as a matter of fact, when you go to a practice, you recognize exactly how organized he is. He started screaming the other day when it got disorganized.
Well, it's certainly exemplified in the stability of the lineup this year as well as the coaching staff. On first down, Kelly right on the money to Andre Reed. Yard gain to midfield. Kelly to Andre Reed.
Tim, these receivers for Buffalo will not kill you streaking down the field going 80 yards, but this is how they kill you. They nickel and dime you to death. Andre Reed here. Now watch him break to that sideline. Perfectly thrown pass by Jim Kelly. Watch him. I'm sorry, we got the wrong receiver there. That's Chris Burkett. We'll get back to it later on.
It was Reed indeed. Made the catch over there.
A little alliteration.
First down at midfield. Not a lot of running room for Thurman Thomas. Stacked up by the middle of the Vikings front. Henry Thomas was there, the second-year man, number 97, and the linebacker David Howard, number 54. Loss of a little bit on the play. We'll call it 2nd and 10.
The Buffalo people really like this young man here, 34, Thurman Thomas. Feel he gives them every dimension that you look for in a running back. Now, he's young. And remember, when he came out of college, he was wearing a knee brace because of the bad operation he had at Oklahoma State. He's really come a long way, and it's unusual to see a rookie start for Marv Levy especially.
108 yards in the preseason, 35 carries for Thomas, won on the starting job. And he catches the ball on this play. First down and then some.
Buffalo successfully runs the screen play. You'll see number 65, Tim Vogler, get out on the screen. There you see him. He's leading out. He's going to lead Thurman Thomas downfield. Now watch him. See if he throws there on Rutland. Nice block there. Gets another one, too. That's what you want out of your guards when you pull out on that screen. Pick off a couple of guys and allow your running back to get some room to run. Now, the question for Thurman Thomas always was, can he catch the ball on the passing situations? And he just proved that he could.
He did indeed, and that good block was Tim Vogler downfield with a second attempt. Thomas running the ball again. Gets about 6, maybe 7 on the play. See where they spot the ball. Just outside the 25 at the 27-yard line. Keith Millard on the tackle there. That's too far downfield for a defensive tackle to have to make the play. The Buffalo line pushing them back. 2nd and 3. Buffalo on the move again at the Vikings 27-yard line. Out of the eye, Thomas runs into traffic this time, is stopped right at the line of scrimmage, met by Scott Studwell, making his 114th start as a Viking, the most among the active players on the roster. 1,579 tackles, the all-time tackle leaders, and that's something now up to 1,060.
And he got a little bit of a breakthrough in the preseason when Walker Lee Ashley, the linebacker out of Penn State, came in to play a great deal of preseason, but Scotty was just resting those old legs.
Discrepancy in those numbers. Those were the solo tackles you just saw on the screen. 1,580 overall tackles. Traffic jam at the 15-yard line. Burkett claiming interference. Isaac Holt collided with him as the ball arrived, and there is no call.
The key thing to remember on a passing situation is, now look at the right side of your screen. The defender has just as much right to the football as the offensive receiver does. And there you see, really, Burkett's lucky he doesn't get the call against him. Both guys are going for the football. If you lean on the other guy's back, it's your problem, not the defensive man's. That was a nice play by Isaac Holt. That's the second one he's made today. The first one he was lucky. This one was good.
A good call, no call, wouldn't you say?
That's right.
Yeah. Scott Norwood will attempt the field goal. And they're going to spot it just inside the 33-yard line. A 42-yard attempt. No good. Norwood wide from 42 yards away, so the Vikings stop the Bills this time. Buffalo leads 3-0. Well, there's the part of the Minnesota defensive brain trust, and we saw them gathered around with their unit to just say, hey, we can't allow Kelly to march down the field like that, even though they stopped him this time. Norwood missing the 42-yard field goal. There's Floyd Peters in the back there with the dark glasses. Kelly is 5 for 7, 80 yards against his defense so far. The Vikings have the ball for the third time at their own 25-yard line. Wilson, the quarterback. They trail 3-0. Tim Ryan and Dan Jiggets at Rich Stadium in Buffalo, New York. 2-yard pickup by Darren Nelson.
One of the things that's obvious is the Buffalo defense has picked up on a Minnesota tendency. Whenever you see that defensive lineman like that time, you saw number 96, Leon, slide down inside just before the snap of the football. That means that they're reducing the defense. They're taking a defensive end. Instead of being over the offensive tackle, he's over the offensive guard. They're keying on something in that backfield of the Vikings. We'll try to pick it up for you as soon as we can. We'll start predicting when they're going to do that reduce out of the 34 defense. Here it is again.
So it is 2nd and 8 for the Vikes, and they bring Nelson wide. Cutting it back inside. Whistles everywhere. The ball came loose, but play had been whistled dead. And a little huddle here. Our referee today, Bob McElwee, and his staff.
You see, in a situation like this, the officials like a little privacy, and the players just won't get in that room.
No play. The whistle was blown by the field judge. The 45-second clock was not operating properly. Replay the
now, we got a 45-second clock and a 30-second clock with a 35-second clock.
Well, I think he was saying 30 and 45-second clock, Dan, because this year, of course, it will show both numbers depending on the circumstance. And the clock wasn't working properly. The field judge whistled play dead. So they'll just do it over again here. Bill's not thrilled about it because evidently they came up with a loose ball on the play.
And it appears that Darryl Talley, the outside linebacker, number 56 for the Bills, got dinged up on that play. It's a big loss for them. He was a first-round draft choice a few years back.
That'll bring in Hal Garner, number 99, the number 6 pick in 1985. Spent most of last year on injured reserve. There's Talley getting some attention.
They call him the Chief.
Nelson again. And the Bills closed that corner very effectively this time. They were waiting for him, and he got maybe a yard. Art Still leading the charge, number 72.
People complain about Art Still's pass rushing ability, but one of the things he's always been able to do is play down the line and not allow the play to get outside containment. There you see he and Cornelius Bennett both playing that containment very well. Minnesota can't turn it up around the corner as a result of those two guys being out there. That's an awesome twosome out there.
Marv Levy moved Sean McNanny in a trade to Phoenix and brought over Art Still, the veteran from Kansas City. Third down. Sack. Fred Smerlis, the veteran nose tackle in his 10th year.
Fred Smerlis said everybody forgot about him for a couple of years. But, you know, the Bills haven't been on television and all that. Now you see him rushing right up the middle. Hey, this guy probably still has a couple of more Pro Bowl seasons left in him. Freddie Smerlis out of Boston College. Been around a long time. Been to about 3 or 4 Pro Bowls. Might go back to another one.
Harold Tucker back to receive the punt as the Bills defensively haven't missed Bruce Smith at all so far. Tucker, fair catch at the Bills' 39-yard line. 41-yard kick by Bucky Scribner. And there is the hero of the moment, Fred Smirlis. 3:12 to go. Buffalo leads 3-0. We are back at Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. A sellout crowd, 80,000 fans on hand. They've been screaming from the opening kickoff. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets watching the Buffalo Bills open their home season against the Minnesota Vikings. And they lead 3-0 with 3:12 to go first quarter. They have stopped the Vikings cold so far. They have managed a field goal by Norwood to take the lead. Kelly 5 of 8, 80 yards passing. Lofting it for the tight end Metzelars, and he holds on. Carl Lee met him as the ball came down, but Metzelars has a first down inside the Viking 40.
One of the things that the Bills have not shown a propensity for is throwing to the tight end. They do throw to the two wideouts a great deal and to the running backs. But here Jim Kelly catches his tight end on a seam pattern there. He knows he's got that zone defense back there, takes it up the middle, and unfortunately number 55, Scott Studwell, can't stay up with that tight end, Pete Metzelars, number 88 offensively.
Metzelars, who came over from Seattle in 1985, has found a home here in Buffalo. 6'7", 250-pounder. What a target. Kelly on first down again, deep for the corner. Incomplete for Andre Reed. Good defensive job by Carl Lee, who put the pop on him just as the ball arrived, or it was 6 for Buffalo.
That was not only a good play, that was a great play by Carl Lee, and you saw Andre Reed turn around and congratulate him. Those guys kind of respect each other when somebody makes a great play. Now, watch Reed. He almost makes the reception there, but you see it bounces right off Carl Lee's shoulder, and the play is dead. Carl Lee got lucky and a little bit good that time as well, just like his buddy Isaac Holt over the other side.
Injury report on Darryl Talley, Buffalo linebacker, an injured ankle, not believed serious. Second down, Thurman Thomas. A lot of running room for the rookie. Lee made the stop. Buffalo first down at the 20 of Minnesota.
Oh, Tim, you like to see that. Your offensive line pulls out. They block well in space. So you see him out in the open field. Now you're going to see the guard number 65, Vogler. But watch him out front. He's going to pull out front, get a block. And he's also got a block from Devlin, number 70. Two nice blocks downfield. Now, Jamie Mueller, 39. Throw your block on Joey Browner. Joey Browner has some of the strongest hands in the NFL, though. Mueller can't get him down. Nice run there for Thurman Thomas, though.
Excellent.
You want to see your offensive lineman get out and clear it out for that running back.
First down at the 20 of Minnesota. Passing and running. The Bills moving the ball. Kelly flushed, and he'll take it close to the 10. Al Noga, the rookie from Hawaii, pulled him down. Now, we should talk about the fact that Noga is in the spot held by Doug Martin. Look at the Bears on top of Miami. Al Noga, the rookie, having to go as a starter, and I don't believe Jerry Burns thinks he's really ready yet, but Doug Martin's still holding out, and that run to the right side we saw before may be aimed at the rookie. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, and Chris Dolman said that he felt that they were a different defense without Doug Martin in there. All those defensive linemen, the young guys, second year, third year, that type thing, they need Doug Martin and his experience in that line.
Thomas trying the middle is forced back, but he will be very close to a first down. He needed about 1.5 yards, a little less than that. And he has it.
Well, this is gut check time for the Minnesota defense now.
First and goal from the 5-yard line. Thomas now has 46 yards on 7 carries. The rookie from Oklahoma State, their #1 pick. Time winding down first quarter. Out of the pro set now. It's Thomas again. Touchdown.
Tim, everybody was questioning whether or not number 70, Joe Devlin, could still run block. Here you see him clearing it out. Jim Richard, number 51, comes up, gets the key block there on the strong safety. And Thurman Thomas is in for the 6 points. Has a nice spike as well.
His first real NFL touchdown. But Thurman Thomas made a nice little move back inside to take it into the end zone, and Buffalo rolling here. Norwood for the point after.
watch the end zone replay of this. Now watch the line blocking on the right-hand side. Good blocking up front. Devlin down blocks with Vogler. They pinch it down in. Good block there by number 51, Jim Richer. Watch. Now this is the key block on Browner. Right there. Pushes him out of the way and allows his running back to get inside for the touchdown. You don't have to knock guys down all the time. Shield them off and get in for the score. That's the important thing.
2:59 used up on the clock. Buffalo dominating Minnesota thus far as we wind down in the first quarter. And the first TD of his career, and I'm sure somebody has squirreled the ball away for Thurman Thomas. And Jerry Burns is going to have to get the pep talk going along the sideline there. And you have to come back to this question mark about Doug Martin being out of that defensive line. Chris Dolman told us last night that they cannot win without him. Now, obviously, he's going to support a holding out teammate, but I think that he really believed what he said as well.
And I'm sure Floyd Peters believes that. He needs that experience up front. When we talked to Mike Lynn before the game, he was the general manager of the Vikings. They've never had a veteran go into the season unsigned like this. And they figure it may be a protracted holdout because of who represents Doug Martin, that being Howard Slusher. That tells you a little something about Minnesota, though, in the first quarter, only allowing 36 points. Now, the flip side of that is Buffalo, and they're scoring in the first quarter in 87.
This crowd is actually cheering the teeing up of the football for the kickoff. Darrell Harris from the 9. Dropped at the 22-yard line by Tom Erlinson, a rookie linebacker on the specials teams. And the Bills special team unit was out there cheerleading the crowd. They sense the excitement here on opening day, the high hopes for this Bills team, picked by many to win the AFC East this year. And the team obviously happy to have the emotion that's being displayed by the 80,000 strong here at Orchard Park today. First down, Vikings. Wilson's going to have to do something to quiet the crowd. Incomplete, intended for Jordan, the tight end. The coverage by Bentley, the linebacker, number 50. And we have reached the end of the first quarter here at Rich Stadium. The Buffalo Bills overpowering the Minnesota Vikings. They lead 10-0. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets at Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York, and they're into the wave early here. Now this occurred just a few minutes ago. Jerry Burns wandered over to his defensive coordinator, Floyd Peters, and one presumes he is saying to Floyd, hey, what's happening here, guy? We got to stop Kelly and company. Vikings, 2nd and 10, starting the second period from their 27. Wilson sacked Art Still.
The second sack of the day for the Bills, but credit their defensive coverage in the secondary for that one. Wade Wilson just couldn't find anybody to throw the football to. Art Still plays it perfectly. Left side of your screen, the right side of your screen. DC still working against Tim Irwin, number 76. Plays it down the line, doesn't allow the quarterback to get the outside. He keeps that containment, and again, great play.
Still had 5.5 sacks last year. That was down from 10.5 the year before. And it's clear that Kansas City felt they should go with a younger guy. But Marv Levy, who had him over there when he coached at Kansas City, thought he could play here. Wilson has an open man, Finney, the fullback, and he has a first down over the 40-yard line. Good pass from Wilson. Perfectly timed to Finney, sneaking up the sideline. He has a first down at the 41.
And Roland Mitchell just flat out missed the tackle on the sideline. He's number 25 for the Bills.
Well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, Wade Wilson did the job in preseason. I thought he was the guy they had to go with to get the job done in the regular season, but so far it's been a disaster for him.
Well, he's picked up a few more out to the 41-yard line. They were -9, so that +3 you saw is exactly current. First down at their own 41. Reverse, Anthony Carter. Wilson leading the blocking. Got one guy, and somebody got Carter. It was Bennett, number 55.
And Bennett got the scout. You know, A young player like Cornelius Bennett on the backside of a play has to learn discipline to stay at home just for these kinds of occasions when they run the reverse on you. That's why Minnesota decided to run it to that side. Watch Cornelius Bennett flash into your screen from the right side. Here's the reverse coming now. AC's got the football. Now watch Cornelius Bennett tracking it down. But see, he was all the way inside, had to come back to the sideline. If he didn't have that great athletic ability, he'd have never made the play, Tim.
Well, Wilson's a brave guy, though. He was the only blocker out there on that reverse with 4 big bills staring him in the face. First down. In and out of the hands of Jordan. A flag on the play where the ball arrived. We'll see what that is. Jordan unable to hold on. Was he interfered with? Might have been grabbed. It is against the Bills, and looks like a little hold or a grab there. Yeah, defensive holding call.
See 56 Tallies check back in. He's okay.
Illegal contact, number 58, defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Shane Conlon charged with illegal contact.
And that's usually another bump down the field. Once that receiver gets past that 5-yard area, you cannot keep bumping him.
Imagine last year the Bills drafted Shane Conlon, number 1, a great college star at Penn State. They got to feel so great about having a terrific young linebacker who's going to be the anchor of their defense. And in the same season, they're able to make a deal for Cornelius Bennett, that now famous 3-way job involving Eric Dickerson. Unbelievable. First down. Darren Nelson inside the 40 to the 39 as the Minnesota offense settles in a little bit here. Seals and Bentley made the tackle.
Well, I tell you what, who didn't make the tackle, though, was up at the top. Gary Zimmerman got a pancake block on the outside linebacker, Darryl Talley. He just crushed him to the turf.
Now, there's another guy who has missed virtually all of training camp in a holdout situation, number 65, Gary Zimmerman. And you being an offensive lineman, Dan, I'm sure you're watching with interest as the game goes on to see what his stamina's like and whether he holds up in his technique. Second and a long 7. Wilson flushed short of the first down by about a yard.
There, as we were talking about Zimmerman, as a matter of fact, you got to look at him pass protecting against Leon Seals, number 96 for the Bills. And you notice he keeps that good bent position, doesn't really get out of position in terms of his upper body, doesn't stand up, and as a result, the defensive ends find it very difficult to rush around him.
Now, let me ask you this question, Dan. If an offensive lineman in a situation like Zimmerman hasn't had a training camp and so on, what takes longer for him to get back to his top format, pass blocking or run blocking?
Pass blocking, no question about it, because it's so much like playing basketball where you got your whole body movement into it.
So it's third down, a long yard for the Vikings. Rick Fenny, and it would appear he has the first down. That was really the first big play of the game for Minnesota. They've just got to keep it going here. And first down is the signal. So Minnesota, early here in the second quarter, trailing 10-0, will have a first down at the Buffalo 31-yard line. There is Tommy Kramer. You can see he's wearing a neck brace underneath his jersey there. That's because of that neck problem that he's had really for the past couple of years, but really bothered him last year. It has not bothered him in preseason.
It was so aggravating to him that sometimes even when you sleep, the thing, you can't even get any sleep because it just aches all the time.
Play action, lots of time. Now forced out. Wilson will run it again. Discreetly out of bounds at the 26. And now for an K. Brent. Well, I'm a Bobby Hebert fan. I like this kid when he was in the USFL, and I believed that he would become a good NFL quarterback. What a great attitude he's got, Dan.
He really does. He was, as a matter of fact, a teammate of Ray Bentley's, who's down here now with the Buffalo Bills.
Aaron Nelson gets about 2 and was hit hard just over the line of scrimmage by Ray Bentley out of Central Michigan, another ex-USFLer.
And he's the story, you know, came here after the Panthers moved to Oakland with the Invaders, and then finally came here to Buffalo, and now he's got a couple of different things working in his life. And as a matter of fact, one of them is he is a writer, and he writes children's books, and one of the characters is Darby the Dinosaur. And we'll get back to more of that story in a bit.
Third down, another big one for the Vikings. 2 is required. Alan Rice tripped up a fine defensive play. His second effort will be short.
Well, I tell you, Dwight Drain made a nice play on that, and Dwight Drain is one of those guys that Marv Levy's expecting a lot out of. Came out of the USFL with big numbers, and now he's got to prove himself here in Buffalo. Had a tough year last year, though, injuries and all of that kind of thing. This is his first real opportunity to settle down and do the job here for the Bills.
Well, the Bills have again stopped the Minnesota Vikings, this time at the Buffalo 25, and the field goal attempt will be made by Chuck Nelson. They'll spot the ball at the 33-yard line of Buffalo. Left hash mark, 42-yard attempt officially. Scribner, the holder. Nelson is wide to the right. Buffalo continues to dominate. They lead 10-0. 80,000 avid Buffalo Bills fans in attendance for opening day at Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. And the Buffalo Bills lead the Minnesota Vikings 10-0 with 10:15 remaining in the second quarter. And so far it has been all Buffalo, with the Bills offense led by their man Kelly, 6 of 10 passing, 104 yards. And as you can see, only 5 passing yards for the Vikings, representing zip in offense. 1 turnover. It came on the first Viking series. Cornelius Bennett intercepting the pass, and it led to a field goal that opened the scoring. Buffalo, Kelly to Metzelar's. First down to their own 43-yard line.
Buffalo mentioned to us the other day that they wanted to try to clear out that post a little bit right down the middle of the field and work on Minnesota's defense that way. They said that Minnesota doesn't really keep a safety inside on that post because they like to spread them out to the wide receivers. And it's apparent that's the second time Pete Metzelaars has beat them down the middle of the field on the same particular play, a little bit different formation.
Solomon came over to help out the strong safety Browner on the tackle for the Vikings. This time they go with Mueller, the fullback, and he slips as he's hit and got maybe a yard. Studwell, the tackle for the Vikings.
Jamie Mueller, their number 39 for the Bills, is not a very nifty fullback. He's a big, strong blocker. Hard-working guy. Marv Levy calls him a blue-collar fullback. One of those guys, you see his numbers, 4.3 yards per rush. Not bad for a big guy, but, he's not real nifty. He's not the kind of guy that's going to take it out around the corner and take it the distance. That's a play designed to get about 3 or 4 yards, just like his average is.
And he's kind of a bodyguard for Kelly on the passing downs, too. Thomas, loose ball, out of bounds, off who? It is Buffalo ball.
It goes back to that fumble rule. You can't fumble forward and you can't fumble backwards. If you do, you get the ball back where the ball went out of bounds. Nice play here, though, left side of your screen. Good blocking up front there. You see Studwell going down, but Thurman Thomas has got to learn in the NFL you can't leave your feet, because there Jesse Solomon, 54, puts his helmet on the football, and he has no basis to work off when Thurman is in the air. Ball pops out. Fortunately, it wasn't recovered by Minnesota.
Solomon and Millard were the two that knocked it loose. So it's 3rd and 12 for Kelly and company. Burkett, first down, Vikings 37. Isaac Holt on the hit, a fine catch by Burkett.
Tim, people always talk about how well the defensive secondary for the Vikings plays, but now there's no pressure on the quarterback from those guys up front. Now you're starting to expose your defensive backs. Holt there gets turned back. He has his back turned to the inside. Then you see Chris Burkett coming back inside and making the reception. Isaac Holt's got to get squared up and play that receiver one side or the other. You have your back turned to the inside, you shut it off, and Floyd Peters will tell him that when he comes over to the sideline.
First down, Buffalo. Rolling again. Mueller wide to the short side. Good defensive play. It was Walker Lee Ashley, and make it Thomas the ball carrier. Thomas, number 34, and Walker Lee Ashley blowing through there to drop him. Loss of about a half yard.
And talking to the Buffalo folks, they said offensively they'd like to be a lot more like the Vikings in terms of varying their game and spreading the offense around to different people. And it's apparent that that's what they decided to do today. Everybody's getting a chance to carry the football, throwing it to different folks down the field. That's obviously the philosophy as Jim Kelly sees it today.
Kelly, the release man, Mueller.
See, that Buffalo crowd loves that kind of effort. That's a blue-collar effort. This town is coming back, struggling real hard, just like this football team is, just like Jamie Mueller is struggling now to keep a starting spot on the team. They love that kind of play from one of their players because, you know, he's a tough, gritty guy, and that's the way this town has grown up.
Harrison Browner finally stopped him, not before he got to the 21-yard line. And this Buffalo offense looks great. The variety is what impresses me, Dan. They've done everything here.
They really have screens, draws, everything,
yeah.
You name it, thrown downfield.
Now they're showing yet a different look, bringing the tight end Metzelaars in motion.
Watch him up the middle again.
Thomas out of the backfield. Close to a first down near the 10.
Kelly knew that time either he had Thomas coming back across the field or he had the tight end working back down that seam again. So it was one or the other. Those linebackers can't cover everybody, so he picked Thurman Thomas that time. Marv Levy's got to be awfully happy with the way that Jim Kelly's running this offense so far. And Ted Marchibroda, the passing coordinator up here for the Bills, I know is tickled to death now. We can see him from our booth, and he's giggling every now and then.
10 of 14, 170 yards for Kelly, and he has not thrown a bad pass. A pass into traffic, a high-risk pass. Everything he's thrown has been to the right place, or he's thrown it away.
The only one was that one early on to Isaac Holt where
Right.
he dropped it over and back to Andre Reed, number 83.
He has them at the 10-yard line, just outside the 10. First down. You can't get to the end zone here without a first down. Marker is at about the half-yard line. This is Thomas. Picked up maybe 3. Jesse Solomon on the stop.
Boy, I tell you what, he was smoking on that one, too. Jesse came from across the field to make that stop. That's what these Viking linebackers are awfully good at. They're very active, and particularly a guy like Solomon, who likes to talk a lot and likes to get noticed, and now he knows he's got to back up his play, and that's what the Minnesota coaches have been telling him. If you want to make a trip to Hawaii come January or February, you've got to start backing up what you say, and Jesse Solomon is doing it now.
The veteran William Gay has come in to replace the rookie Al Noga. Gay picked up as a free agent. Backup strength on the defensive front. Second down. Kelly has a man in the corner. Burkett cannot get to the ball. A little off the mark from Kelly. Burkett was open, turning to the outside. Holt in pursuit.
Jim Kelly's getting nice protection from his offensive line. We get the nickel situation now where Minnesota's reacting to what they see Buffalo doing. Buffalo sends in 2 more receivers, takes out the tight end and one of the running backs. And as a result, Minnesota sent in their extra safety and cornerback.
Wyman Henderson, number 24. Reggie Rutland, number 48, joined the secondary. Third down. Virtually goal. The first down markers at the half-yard line. From the shotgun. Kelly can't find one. Now fires it in. It's picked up. Reggie Rutland on a tip. Out to the 22-yard line. And it was Jesse Solomon, the man you were talking about, who tipped that pass.
First time that Jim Kelly made a bad pass, and you know why? He should have thrown the ball the first time. You're going to see him pump fake and then throw the ball on that second pump. And now look at the secondary coverage with those 6 DBs back there. Wrong place to throw it is in the middle of the field because that's where they're all converging at. And Jim sees somebody out of the right side of his eye. There's number 83, Reed. He just can't get in there. There's 4 defenders in there, and Rutland picks it off and takes it down the field. But you see who made the play, Jim Kelly. They wanted to play him at linebacker at Penn State, and that's how come he didn't go there. But he made a nice tackle. He probably should have played a little linebacker.
From the 21-yard line, the Vikings. Aaron Nelson can't make the turn. At the corner, he is stuffed. No gain. Bennett on the tackle, number 55.
As an offense, if you're going to try to run sweep plays, your lineman and whoever's blocking for you, be it a fullback or whomever, when they turn that corner, they've got to work up the field. They can't throw blocks laterally coming towards the sideline because a guy like number 55 there, Cornelius Bennett, is just going to string the play out.
5:18 to go in the first half. The Vikings have to do something on this drive, in my judgment, to show Buffalo that they can move the ball on them and get something into the end zone. Jordan has a first down. Shane Conlon on the tackle. The ball at the 31-yard line of Minnesota.
And you go back in the huddle in this kind of a situation in the game with 4 minutes and 40-some seconds remaining on the clock before the half. You start saying to yourself, hey, look, we've got to get some points on the board now just for the emotional lift, if nothing else.
Well, I awarded them a first down, but they're out there measuring now, and the Bills have got their extra beef, so they don't think they've got it.
The officials do, more importantly.
And they are short.
You know,
no, it is a first down. Pardon me.
Tim, there's another story on this Buffalo Bills team, and that is as we lost Bruce Smith, the Bills gained Dean Prater back. Now, Dean has been cut about 5 or 6 times by Marv Levy. He's number 79 for the Bills, and there you see him. He's going to play defensive end. I'm sure that he's been cut so much by Marv, he must think that Marv is a surgeon by now instead of a coach.
Well, he figured it'd be just on the specials. In fact, he's captain of the specials, but here he is now out on the defensive line.
Well, he got crushed on that play. Tim Irwin just crushed him to the turf. And
Wilson
Finney makes the stop.
to Finney, and Finney has a first down to the 42-yard line.
Now, when you come into a game, it's always tough to get your timing back. I played with Dean in the USFL and watched Tim Irwin, number 76. He just crushes him to the turf, gets a little help inside, but he really didn't need it. Tim Irwin, 6'8", 290 pounds.
Interestingly, the Bills have got like a second unit front in there. Jeff Wright, Dean Prater, and Mark Pike giving their starters a rest here, and Scott Radisick is in at linebacker.
Well, Marv Levy mentioned the fact that he wanted to rotate those lines so his guys didn't get tired up front. Now is a good time to do it with 3 minutes and 58 seconds remaining. Let your starters get a little bit of rest, and then if you need them for that 2-minute drill, they're prepared.
Another measurement for the Vikings.
That's one thing that Levy has always been big on, is allowing those guys who back up to get an opportunity to play. Now, Jerry Burns, I'm sure, is saying, I wish I had Doug Martin now for my defense.
So this one, I think, is going to be a little bit short. And you could see that it was no more than a couple of inches.
Marv's got to be pleased with the way his defense has played today, though. They've been outstanding in this first half.
Second down and very short. 3:53 counting down first half. The ball at the Vikings 41-yard line. Finney. He's got it just rolling through there like a bowling ball.
You got to credit, though, guys like Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator here at the Bills, and Ted Cottrell, the defensive line coach. They've done a great job of getting this team ready to play. Secondary-wise, Dick Roach is back there. A lot of experience. Marv's brought in a lot of people that he used to work with in other places, particularly Kansas City and the USFL, that really he's very comfortable working with, and that's important. Talked about the organization before.
Wilson out for Anthony Carter, left out there by himself, and is driven out of bounds. And it was Derek Burrows, the cornerback, number 29, giving him a good rap.
Well, that was a major league stick out there. They tried to throw a little hitch pass to Anthony Carter, and Derek Burrows read it right away. He's playing awfully tight on AC. I wouldn't be surprised to see AC down on a go pattern very shortly.
Philadelphia beating up on Tampa Bay, of interest in the Central Division of the NFC, and Green Bay trailing the Rams 14-0. And look what New Orleans is doing to San Francisco at the Superdome. Second down and 4. I formation. Play action for Wilson. Sliding grab by Jordan. Good catch on a low throw from Wilson. And it is a first down with 2:22 to go.
Steve Jordan, an Ivy Leaguer, and I'd like to mention the fact that he went to Brown. He's a civil engineer. You know, you like to mention those things when you see those Ivy Leaguers out there playing, Tim.
5 for 5. Wilson now passing. I know you're going to talk about those Ivy Leaguers, Mr. Harvard, man. They're so few and far between. They need to get the action. That's Alfred Anderson to the 25-yard line with a flag down.
And I believe this call might be on Cornelius Bennett. Little contact there just before 46 Anderson went down. And Bob McElwee confirms it. Now, Cornelius is going to be a lawyer in the offseason, so he's going to rap to the officials and say, well, now tell me what I did wrong. That way they won't call it on you again if you're awfully nice to him. Oh, now Cornelius, don't get too rough out there. See, those linebackers know how to get to work these officials.
Number 55 defense. Penalty will be declined. First down. 2-minute warning.
So we've reached the 2-minute warning here at Rich Stadium in Buffalo. The Bills still lead it 10-0. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets. We have 1:57 remaining here at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park. The Vikings finally on the move. They are down at the 25-yard line. This first half has been dominated by the Bills, and Jim Kelly on first down has been sensational, as those numbers indicate.
It makes your second down decision a lot easier, doesn't it?
Sure does. Wilson, good protection. Intended for Jordan, and it is incomplete. Should have been an interception. Dropped by Dwight Drain. Actually had the ball. I think he started to run with it and left it behind. So he didn't have it long enough for an intercept.
Well, one of the things that the defensive coaches will always tell you is keep your eye on the football until you catch it, and then you can run with it. Wade Wilson just throws this one into coverage. He doesn't see Dwight Drain coming back across underneath. He makes a nice almost interception there. Really, Steve Jordan wasn't in position to catch the football. Good protection up front. No problem there. Wade Wilson's got plenty of time. Freddie Smirlis breaks through late, but no big deal.
Darren Nelson inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. Wilson has picked up to 6 of 11 for 68 yards passing. Timeout is called on the field, and we have 1:36 to play in the first half. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets here in Buffalo. Rich Stadium filled to capacity. The Bills with an impressive 10-0 lead. The Vikings trying to get on the scoreboard with 1:36 to play first half. Wilson, the quarterback. Finney blasting straight ahead, trying to get first down yardage, and he has it inside the 15.
Tim, I go back to something that we kind of picked up on last year with the Vikings, and that was that there was a big feeling up in Minnesota that Wade Wilson played better coming in off the bench than he did as a starter, and they felt that Tommy Kramer kind of had the attitude that he was a starter. And Wade maybe has developed beyond that point, but he has not had a very successful first half. Now, let's not forget what he did during the preseason, though. He was very effective then.
There's Tommy Kramer, number 9 on the left. And we've got this opportunity to remind you to stay tuned at halftime. Brent Irvin, Dick Butkus, newcomer to the NFL Today cast. We'll have all the scores and highlights from around the NFL opening day action today. We'll also have a report from the U.S. Open Tennis Championships. And hear from America's new star, Andre Agassi, and he is scheduled to play later today. And we understand there is some rain in New York, so I'm sure they'll update you on the weather conditions there as well.
Tim, can Agassi win that the U.S. Open?
I don't believe he can win it this year, but I can guarantee he's going to win one in the future. He's got all of the ability you could ask for in a young tennis player, but I think it's maybe a little too soon for an 18-year-old not fully developed physically to go the hard grind of the tournament distance. And it's a wide-open men's field. A lot of excitement ahead in the U.S. Open. Okay. Vikings hope there's some excitement for them here. First down inside the 15 of Buffalo. Wilson flushed out by Smirlis to the corner. Finney can't hold on.
That's the second exceptional play that Dwight Drain has made now for the Buffalo defense. That time he took the ball away from Finney, number 31, down deep in the end zone. Dwight Drain is coming into his own gradually as a strong safety in the National Football League.
So it'll be second down. Not a bad throw by Wilson, and the ball was there, but with the coverage by Drain, Finney unable to bring it in.
Well, Wade, when you saw those feet tapping, you knew he was in trouble. Couldn't find a receiver, and if your feet start tapping down here on the 15-yard line, so you got big problems.
Second down. 1:20 on the clock. Hassan and Jones in motion. They haven't gotten the ball to him at all. Alfred Anderson out of the backfield. Good coverage by the Bills. 3 of them there to greet him at the corner, led by Bennett and number 97, Scott Radisson.
Now, What's happening now to Minnesota is the Buffalo Bills are starting to develop some this feeling that we can beat these guys. Now they're dangerous. You get young guys thinking that they can beat you, and you're in trouble. And that's the feeling now that's building on that Buffalo sideline, is that, hey, these guys may be good, but we can beat them. We're awfully good ourselves. Now they're getting very dangerous for Minnesota. Minnesota's got to get points out of this drive.
Third down and 8. They've got 4 receivers in now for Wilson. Gustafson, Leo Lewis joining Jones and Carter. Short drop in the middle. Great defensive play by Nate Odom. Intended for Anthony Carter, cutting across the middle. Odom's diving in front to knock it away.
Ooh. Hey, these guys are making them wonder here. You know, the cornerbacks like Odoms, Nate Odoms, and Derek Burrows were questionable coming into this game. Everybody didn't know whether or not they really had the stuff to be exceptional corners. Marv Levy says he thinks corners have to have resiliency. These guys, he says Odoms has it, but, you know, he shows signs of it every now and then, but clearly he's got it now.
Chuck Nelson will try to get the Vikings points, a 30-yard field goal try, and he has it. So finally, with 1:05 left to play in the first half, the Vikings have scored their first points and trail Buffalo 10-3.
The game of football is all about matchups. 81, Anthony Carter for the Vikings, and watch Nate Odoms, 37. Gets a little help from Dwight Drain, number 45 there on the bump on AC, but Nate Odoms makes a great play. Now watch him reach over and slap the ball away just before AC catches the football in the end zone. Great play by Nate Odoms. He's coming into his own, as I said before, as a cornerback in the National Football League.
Just a second-year man out of the University of Wisconsin, the number 2 pick a year ago. Nelson will kick it off, and he goes for the ground ball. It's knocked down and finally fielded at the 20-yard line by Carl Byram, the backup fullback. And the Bills, with 1 minute and 1 second left, have the ball at their own 26-yard line. So the Vikings went 66 yards in 14 plays, used up 4:32 on the clock, and came up with their first point. So in some ways, they are lucky to be within a touchdown of Buffalo, Dan, because the Bills have completely dominated them, both sides of the football, and yet here we are with still a half to play, and they're only down by a touchdown. Anthony Carter can turn things around in a hurry for you. And there's a drop. Kelly was right on the money to Ronnie Harmon.
And that's his specialty, catching out of the backfield. That's unusual to see Ronnie Harmon drop a football. Caught 55 last year and caught a ton yesterday in practice.
Injured Buffalo player Tim Vogler. And it is Dale Hellestray in for him now, number 71. Third-year tackle.
And Marv Levy mentioned about Dale Hellestray. He had some back problems early on and went in and had operation this offseason. Came back real strong. He's probably playing the best he's ever played for the Bills.
From the shotgun, Kelly will try again. And going deep for the first time for Burkett. And overthrows him, and good coverage deep on the play by the Vikings.
Did you see 85 Burkett put his arms up even though he couldn't get to the football, hoping that maybe if that official saw it, he'd get the cheap call. Jim said, hey, you got to run a little bit faster than that, though, Chris. Burkett says that he's their downfield guy, the guy that Jim Kelly likes to throw to when it's third down and more than 10. And as opposed to that, Andre Reed, 83, is the guy they like to throw to underneath.
Kelly is 10 of 18.
Burkett's a big target at 6'4".
Third down and 10. 50 seconds left, first half. Release man is Harmon. Harmon driven out of bounds. Not much on the play. Isaac Holt forced him out.
As you
Bills will punt.
As you watch matchups today, one of the things that's apparent to you is that Chris Dolman has not had a good first half for the Vikings. You haven't called his name hardly at all, and maybe he's working against Will Wolford, and Will's doing a heck of a job on him today, Tim.
This is the first punt of the afternoon for the Buffalo Bills. John Kidd standing at his own 13-yard line. Leo Lewis back to receive at the 31 of Minnesota. High punt from Kidd. Coming down short, but takes a Buffalo bounce. Lewis buried at the 27-yard line with 31 seconds left for the Vikings to try and make something happen.
Leo Lewis did his ground chuck routine there. He just tried to get into that AstroTurf. So too many people around and not enough opportunity.
45-yard punt for Kidd. Check it. Make it a 53-yard punt. 53-yarder. That bounce helped him out.
There's a story of John Kidd and Marv Levy. When we were in the USFL working together, Marv tried to sign John right out of Northwestern. And now he's finally got him here with the Buffalo Bills. And look at that Phoenix Cardinals score.
I'm having a hard time adjusting to seeing Phoenix come up there as an NFL score.
I think the people in St. Louis are as well.
First down. We all adjusted to Indianapolis. I'm sure we'll adjust to Phoenix.
And the Los Angeles Raiders.
Still messed that one up. Wilson from the shotgun has his man Carter, and 3 Bills converge on him. He has a first down at the 40 in the hurry up with 20 seconds left.
AC did about a 20-yard comeback to get the ball on that play.
Low snap, well fielded by Wilson. Rice out of the backfield to the 49, and timeout call by the Vikings. They have 1 remaining when we return. No, that's their last one. Tim Ryan and Dan Jiggets. We are back at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park. A concerned-looking Jerry Burns. On the other hand, he looks the same whether his team's up or down. You don't get a different expression from Jerry until the game's over. Then, if you win, you get a smile. They lose, you don't. 4 seconds left, and Wilson will hang it up. 3 receivers are down there, a bunch of Buffaloes, and it's batted around out of the hands of Anthony Carter, who got maybe a fingertip on it, and that'll bring the first half to a close. And this audience here is really enjoying this football game, and they give an appreciative round of applause to their hometown Bills. You know, Buffalo, in opening games, has won only 9 and lost 19, and they have lost their last 5 in a row. So far, they're on top here.
And from a psychological standpoint, for a young team like Buffalo, it's important to get off to a good start, not only in the first half, but also in the second half and win the football game. The surprising thing, though, is the Vikings have not played well offensively. It's something that they have done all preseason, and I'm sure that comes as a big surprise to Jerry Burns as well.
And with Kelly 10 for 16, 171 yards, 10 for 18, pardon me, 171 yards. That's a good start offensively, but defensively, so far, they have not missed Bruce Smith. Leon Seals and the rest of the gang has done the job well. So at halftime, the end of the first half, Minnesota 3, Buffalo 10. We're at halftime at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. The Buffalo Bills opening their home season, and they lead the Minnesota Vikings 10-3 at halftime. And certainly the presence of Bruce Smith being absent from the defensive lineup has not hurt their defense at all. That's really been the story of the first half. They've shut down Minnesota.
I tell you what, Buffalo Bills, their defense has played like they have not played before. They really have lifted up to the occasion and said, hey, look, Bruce is gone, so we've really got to turn it up a notch. Now, offensively, that's a different story, and we'll talk about that in a minute. There you see some of the offensive stats.
Certainly the numbers favor the Bills, as you might expect. 231 yards, and on the strength of Jim Kelly, 11 of 19, 171 yards passing. We know Wade Wilson's a good passer, but so far they've shut him down.
They really haven't. It hasn't been that there's a lot of pressure on Wade. I don't understand. He's not throwing deep to any of his receivers, and he's not completing the passes that he should complete. He's hot-footing it a lot back in the backfield.
I guess the simple thing to say is that he's got to get it to Anthony Carter in the second half.
Yeah, AC down the field. That's the secret.
All right. CBS Sports coverage of NFL football will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets at Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York, and the Bills leading 10-3, and they like that position, as these numbers would indicate. Last year, when they were leading at halftime, they went on to win 3 out of the 4 games in that circumstance. So I'm sure Marv Levy pleased with their defensive performance, most particularly, and they feel that they are a defensive team. It's often the case. You might have a star quarterback, and you can put up some numbers, and you might have good receivers and all the rest of it. But the teams that have good, solid defenses feel they're the ones that are going to be around at the end of the season come playoff time, and they like their defense. We've commented on the absence of Bruce Smith, out for 5 games because of the league substance abuse situation. But they have stepped in with Leon Seals in the first half, and he has done the job, and the rest of the defense has played awfully well.
And in Bruce Smith's defense, too, he expressed to us the other day that he was really, really sorry the way that for now what the Buffalo fans and his teammates have to go through. He knows he hurt a great deal of people.
So Chuck Nelson kicks it off, and the Bills will have the ball first from the 1-yard line. It is Errol Tucker. Tucker stopped at the 15-yard line. Now, the Minnesota defense has certainly not played badly in the first half. Paul Coffin made the tackle there. The Vikings defense have held the Bills to 10 points despite that performance by Jim Kelly. And so the blame, if any, at this point has to lie on the offensive side of the ball for the Vikings performance in the first half.
We've just learned that Tim Vogler, the offensive guard for the Bills, is out for the game with a knee injury, and he'll be replaced by Dale Hellestray, number 71, at the right guard position.
Kelly throwing on first down. Almost picked off. Joey Browner got his hands on it, and then John Harris tried to get to the deflection, but couldn't quite catch up to the ball. Metzelaars was the intended receiver.
There's Dale Hellestray. We told you about him earlier, having had the back operation during the offseason, got himself healthy, and Marv Levy says he's really come a long way this year.
Hellestray, number 8 pick in 85 from SMU. 2nd and 10, Buffalo. Thomas caught from behind by Keith Millard. And there may be a loss on the play. Well, let's see. That'll be maybe a little bit of a gain. We can see where they spot the ball. There's big Keith Millard. Good speed for a big man. Nearly 270 pounds out of Washington State.
He's a real football player. They call him Maul, and that's the way he plays defensive football. He tries to eat up the guy he plays against offensively.
Vikings have their dime package on the field. Rutland and Henderson joining the secondary on 3rd down. Kelly escapes the trap. Gets out to the 25-yard line, but short of the first down by a couple. Solomon and Dolman made the tackle.
The defensive line for the Vikings is starting to bring a little pressure on Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly takes a very short drop, either 3 yards or 5 yards, which is extremely short. But that plays very well into that Buffalo passing game, which is, again, the short patterns.
John Kidd has punted only once in the first half, a 53-yarder. Anthony Carter is back to receive the punt, so there's a slight change by Jerry Burns, and flags at the line of scrimmage. It appeared the Vikings were offside. Isaac Holt hoping to get in and have a shot at blocking, and it's going to cost him a first down, most likely.
That takes the wind out of your sails as an offense, because you're prepared to go into the game, and then suddenly you get a silly penalty like that. And that's why Jerry Burns was shaking his head. He can't believe that Isaac would get a penalty such as that one.
Some discussion down there among the officials. Holt, I'm sure, seeing the position of the punter. He's back there with that red end zone in his eyesight behind him, and he's saying, hey, maybe I can block this and we can get possession down here. But a little too eager.
There may be some form of a replay going on here at the same time. I'm sure the officials are checking upstairs to make sure that they made the right call, and quite possibly was Isaac Holt drawn offsides by something that happened on the punting side of the ball. And you see the officials getting all the players away so they can discuss.
The down will be replayed. It was an inadvertent whistle. No foul.
Left side of your screen, Isaac Holt, you're going to see him jump just a little. He's just a little out of frame there. There you see him trying to get back.
Well, evidently he got back, and the whistle shouldn't have blown.
Well, see, on defense, you can go across the line of scrimmage as long as you don't touch anyone on the other side, then get back. And that's what Marv Levy is screaming about now. He said, wait a minute, you guys blew the whistle and stopped the play. We were going to snap it before Isaac was able to get back onside. Marv wanted that first down.
Replay would not have applied in that circumstance, Dan, because They don't bring it into play in terms of offsides or encroachment.
Well, I think what they did, they may do though, is just to check, just to make sure that they are right in terms of the ball not being snapped while that guy was still across the line of scrimmage.
So Kidd is going to punt it over again. It's bottom line. Carter at the 38. Got about 5, and a flag comes down after the initial hit was made. A 37-yard punt. Butch Roll, reserve tight end, made the tackle, and the flag is down after he caught the ball and started upfield.
Well, I tell you what, though, Chris Martin, number 57 for the Vikings, got a great special teams block on that play.
And somebody got an illegal one, I think, too.
Illegal block above the waist, number 57, during the run.
That was a good block by Chris Martin, right.
But you know what happened is as he pushed him by, that's when you've got to relieve that guy and let him go down to the ground. You can't continue to push him down to the ground.
So that'll back up the Vikings. A chance to remind you that next Saturday, Michigan and Notre Dame. And in the preseason picks, number 10 Michigan, number 13 Notre Dame. And this is a series that goes a long way back, 1887. Since then, Michigan leads the overall series 13-6, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And I think a lot of interest to see whether these will be indeed two powers this year in college football. Alfred Anderson. Anderson gets about 7, maybe 8 yards on the play. Shane Conlon tripped him up.
Many people may ask the question at home, why are the Vikings running the ball when they're a touchdown down with 12 minutes and 37 seconds remaining in the third quarter? Well, that's their philosophy. You know, they're not going to get away from it. Bernsey says, hey, look, as long as we're within striking distance, we're going to stick with the things that work for us. Vary it, pass, run, screen, draw, whatever you've got to do, but don't let that defense get a read on you very quickly.
Second down, the I formation. Finney trying for the first, and he's got it. So the Vikings march smartly out for a first down to their 44-yard line. Odoms and Bennett on the tackle for Buffalo. One thing here that works for the Vikings, and they like to do it against any team with a passer like Kelly, is that if you can move the ball on the ground, you keep it out of his hands, use up some clock time. They're only down by 1 touchdown. First down. Intended for Darren Nelson out of the backfield. Incomplete. Chasing him was Darrell Talley, number 56.
Once again, you saw Wade Wilson tapping those feet and having to wait for the receiver to get into the open. Throws his timing off just that little bit, and that's what makes him throw it out of bounds rather than getting the completion.
Second and 10, Vikings. 11:41 to go here in the third quarter. They trail 10-3. Tough defense, good offense by Kelly, giving Buffalo the halftime lead. Anderson in motion out of the backfield. Pass intended for Carter, incomplete. Burrows put the hit on him just as the ball arrived, perfectly timed, and Carter could not keep his stride going in order to hold on to the football.
Derek Burrows, number 29 defensively for the Bills, is one of those guys that every now and then he'll slip up and make a mistake. But here, great play defensively on Anthony Carter, who's not an easy guy to cover, particularly on the slant. He also had help inside from Mark Kelso, number 38.
Third down, Hagee and Mitchell have come in the dime package for Buffalo. 4 wides are in, make it 3 wide receivers for the Minnesota Vikings. Wilson off quickly. He is complete to Leo Lewis. First down, Vikings to the 47-yard line of the Buffalo Bills. Mark Kelso on the tackle, and it's right at the markers, so I was a little premature in awarding them first down. Let's see where they mark the ball.
This is the old John Madden left foot, right foot thing, Tim, depending on where the official decides to spot it. Which foot? He's over on the Buffalo sideline, so it may well be a right foot.
First down.
You knew it all the time, didn't you, Tim?
Well, you never quite know when it's within a half yard, is my theory. But you really got to wait. Sometimes you think it's there, and then the spot completely fools you. So it's first down. for the Vikings at the Buffalo 47-yard line. Carter out wide to the left. Vikings simply have to get the ball to Anthony Carter. Hassan Jones in motion right. Finney. Nowhere. Good defensive play by Conlon, the linebacker, 58.
When that motion comes away from whatever side you're on defensively for the Bills, motion away, they're reducing that defense. We talked about it earlier in the first half when you see that defensive end slide down. Instead of being on the tackle, he is now over the guard, and you move those linebackers around outside. And that's, again, to shut off that running game and trying to prevent the outside rushing ability of the Minnesota Vikings.
Big scores being flashed across there, and meanwhile the 49ers have come back to tie the Saints. Second down. Wilson sacked. Art Still and Smurless combine on the sack, their third of the day.
The two old men combined, they're probably about 65 years old. Watch straight up the middle. Freddie Smurless gets double teamed. He gets in the action, and Art Still, good pressure outside. He gets Wade Wilson ducking, and Smurless does the rest. So I guess you have to give at least a half a sack to each one of them, and maybe a little bit to Leon Seals, number 96. He got in late to secure the sack.
So it'll be third down and about 14. Good protection this time, and is open Anderson and stopped short of the first down by Conlon. Alfred Anderson.
Boy, I tell you what, the linebackers for the Bills are way off in coverage. Watch the top of your screen, number 58, Shane Conlon, left side. He drops back in coverage, and now he sees that running back up underneath. He's got to come back and react. Didn't get much help, though, from Roland Mitchell, number 25. Good protection, on the other hand, for Wade Wilson up front. His guys are doing a job keeping that Buffalo line out. They only give up a sack every now and then. A little late action there by Jeff Wright, but nothing special unless you're Wade Wilson and you get hit like that.
So the Bills stop the Vikes again, and the punt taken by Tucker. He decided to let it go, and it goes through the end zone. So it'll be a touchback and first down for the Bills from their 20-yard line. A 41-yard punt from Bucky Scribner. And the Bills lead it 10-3. 9:01 to go, third quarter. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets at Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. The Buffalo Bills leading the Minnesota Vikings 10-3. That was the score at halftime. It remains so at 9:01 remaining third quarter. And Buffalo has the football at their own 20-yard line, having stopped the Vikings again. Jamie Mueller, no running room for him.
He's got the right last name, Mueller. You see how he runs that football, just like a mule. He can keep hitting him and nailing him. He just keeps coming at you.
225-pounder from a little college, Benedictine College. It's an NAIA school. Not too often you get somebody in the NFL out of there as Jesse Solomon limps off.
Well, last week he had that thigh injury, and I'm not sure if that thing is completely healed.
Thurman Thomas, Buffalo rookie, and he is stopped. So the Bills' running attack, which was effective in the early going, is shut down 2 consecutive plays now. Henry Thomas and Scott Studwell. So Floyd Peters doing his halftime adjustments.
And when you really think about Jesse Solomon going out and Ray Berry, number 50, who just made that stop, replacing him, Floyd Peters feels pretty strongly about Ray Berry. And reading some of the articles on Minnesota, he feels that Ray is maybe ready to take over a starting position. Got to find one for him, though, because Jesse Solomon is an awfully good outside linebacker.
Berry, the number 2 pick a year ago from Baylor. From the shotgun on third down, Kelly runs out of time and takes out. Tackled by David Howard, number 51, and the Bills will have to punt.
I don't know what's wrong with Chris Dolman, but he just doesn't seem to have that drive to get to the quarterback right now. Now watch Kelly late. Now you see Dolman's out of the picture. Now he'll come back in. Still misses the sack again. Wolford knocks him down, and Jim Kelly's off to the races. Jim's got that bad ankle. He's not going to run too far. But Chris Dolman just hasn't seemed to be getting to that quarterback, and Wolford is doing a pretty credible job on him as the offensive tackle, left tackle for the Bills.
John Kidd into punt. Leo Lewis back to receive it at the Viking 31. Backing up Lewis to the 25. Good return by Leo Lewis over the 40-yard line of Buffalo. Ray Bentley made the tackle there over the Vikings 40-yard line, pardon me. A 46-yard punt. A 16-yard return by Leo Lewis.
Leo Lewis is one of those guys they always say can stop on a dime and give you 9 cents change. You see him just make those little quick moves, and that's why he's so valuable on punt returns as well as kickoff returns. They have to find another role for him at Minnesota because he's no longer a starting wide receiver.
So the Vikings will have the ball over their own 40 when we return, trailing by 7. First down, Vikings from their own 41-yard line. Play action. Wilson sideliner to Anthony Carter. And he has the first down. Well, next week, our NFL activity includes the Bears at Indianapolis. Chicago going well today so far. Detroit will be at the L.A. Rams. A lot of interest in the Rams. See how far they've come along with their young quarterback Everett. And the 49ers at the Giants, certainly the big game of the day. 49ers down there now back tied with New Orleans. And the Giants, somewhat of a question mark, and they rebound from the miseries of a year ago. Tampa Bay will be at Green Bay. Central Division rivalry. Two teams trying to get themselves up the ladder. First down, Vikings. Wilson, sideliner for Carter, incomplete.
Wade would have had to squeeze that one in between two defensive backs, and that would have been an ill-advised throw had it been a few more yards up the field. As a matter of fact, it would have gone in the other direction for about a 50-yard interception return for touchdown. You know, it appears now that the there's been an emotional shift in the game towards the sideline of Minnesota. Seems like after the half when they came back out with a little bit more bravado. And I'm sure it had a lot to do with what Jerry Burns and Floyd Peters and Bob Snooker had to say to that team when they went in at halftime.
Second and 10, Minnesota. Hassan Jones in motion. Inside handoff to Anderson. Back against the grain. Gets about 5 yards on the play. Right now, let's go to Brent Musburger for an NFL Today report. So the 49ers on top. I think that's going to be a great rivalry all season long. 49ers and the Saints. Third down. Minnesota. Crowd alive. Wilson gets lots of time now. Runs out of it and is sacked. Fourth sack of the day. Excellent coverage downfield. Look at Bennett celebrating.
Cornelius, be quiet my heart. Watch the middle of the screen. That's where the pressure's going to come from. Cornelius Bennett coming in on a loop play there. You see him 55 in the middle of the screen. Down on the ground. Makes a sack from down underneath. And he gets help from Dr. Sack 96 Leon Seals.
Fourth down. Vikings stopped again. Tucker back to receive. The Scribner punt. High punt from Scribner. And it'll go into the end zone once more. There's a look at Bennett. A 52-yard punt from Scribner, but he's unhappy that it didn't stay out of the end zone. Fans love that defense. Rich Stadium, Orchard Park, New York. The Buffalo Bills lead the Vikings 10-3. In the third quarter, 5:28 to go. Tim Ryan and Dan Jiggets with the action on CBS Sports. Week 1 of the NFL's 1988 season. First down, Buffalo. The blitz is on, but Studwell stopped up the middle. Kelly overthrows Metzelars. Second down.
Well, you know, we talked so much about what Cornelius Bennett has meant to the Buffalo Bills. There's a graphic illustration of exactly what it means to get a player of his caliber. There you see some of the numbers. Points allowed before, 29.7 after, 15.2. Look at the QB sacks, and he go down to takeaways. 9 as opposed to 20 now after he's been here. Those are some great numbers. Now you understand why he's such a valuable player defensively.
I think he just brought the sun out here, too. Kelly complete to Ronnie Harmon out of the backfield for a gain of about 7, maybe 8. make it Andre Reed, number 83, not 33, Harmon.
Andre ran a stop pattern there, and he had Isaac Holt. Isaac was still halfway down the field. He thought he was still running. Had his back turned and didn't react well to the play. Now
4 new offensive people in on 3rd and short for the Bills.
This is their version of the jumbo offense. You put those 3 big tight ends in, and then you bring in Carl Byron, number 35, as the other fullback.
And Rob Riddick is the other running back. Riddick. Carl Lee and John Harris stopped him, but not before the first down.
But the key there, though, is number 35, Carl Byron, gets a nice block at the point of attack, and he really springs Rob Riddick. Then you see the block at the point of attack. Riddick gets over the line of scrimmage, and then it's very difficult to bring him down before he gets the first down yardage.
Riddick missed the preseason, also under the NFL regulations surrounding substance abuse, but was back ready to go for the regular season game. They've had the lights on here all day, but the sun is trying to poke through the cloudy skies. So it's brightened up considerably. Andre Reed cutting across the middle one more time and picks up 8 or 9 on the play from Kelly. Ray Berry on the stop.
I tell you, Tim, the offensive line for Buffalo is abusing the defensive line of the Vikings. The Vikings are not even seeing the light of Jim Kelly back there in the backfield at all. Jim has all the time in the world he wants to throw. Granted, he's taking that short drop, which makes it difficult for the defensive linemen to have a real impact in the game. But these guys, they say they want to be known as the GQ line. You know, they're in great condition, good-looking bodies and all that, but they're not getting to the quarterback today.
2nd and short, and the Vikings have stopped him short of the first down. Ray Berry, the linebacker, in there for the injured Jesse Solomon, tripping up the ball carrier.
Defensive leg whip by Ray Berry.
It worked.
He can't tackle him, trip him.
No gain on the play. Vikings moved in William Gay to replace the rookie Al Noga. Noga starting the game for holdout Doug Martin. And they have just not been able to get to the quarterback. You see the Bills with 4 sacks. Minnesota still looking for their first.
And without Bruce Smith, you'd expect those numbers to be reversed.
Lloyd Peters wants some more action from the pass rushers. Short drop again by Kelly, and he finds Reed one more time. Isaac Holt tripped him up. You know, Andre Reed, 6 feet, 190-pounder. That's not huge, but they ask him to bash his body around. They've run him into those middle spots on slants right from the opening bell.
Well, look at his numbers. Six receptions, 67 yards. Remember we talked about him working up underneath and Burkett being the downfield guy? But these guys say they don't get any respect in the AFC or in the NFL at large, mainly because they're just not known factors, but they're going to become known people around the league after this year and another full year with Jim Kelly.
First down, Buffalo, their own 45. Kelly, Reed again. Studwell pops him, but he picks up another 6 or 7.
Yeah, the key there, though, is Chris Dolman finally turned upfield and tried to run over the offensive tackle instead of trying to work that underarm move. Now, watch him at the bottom of your screen, right-hand side. You're going to see Chris Dolman working against Will Wolford there. See, now he comes back up inside. That time he gave up contain, but he sure got close to the quarterback, and Jim Kelly won't forget that.
2nd down, a long 2. Let's call it 2nd and 3. Slot formation to the right for the Bills. A little longer count this time. The short side, Thomas. He's got the first down to the 41 of Minnesota. So the Bills stopped on their first drive of the second half. Have got it moving again. Joey Browner on the tackle as time winds down in this 3rd quarter. From the 41-yard line, there's the backup quarterback, Frank Reich, 4-year man out of Maryland, number 14. Kelly slowing down the counts the last couple of plays. The reverse is on. Andre Reed, but good play by Joey Browner. Saw it all the way. Drops him for a loss of a couple.
Nice disciplined play by Joey Browner. Didn't leave home and react to the play without checking first to make sure that the reverse was not on.
It'll leave 2nd and 11.
Joey Browner's wife is a fashion model, spends a lot of time between Paris and Milan and Minnesota. That's a strange little mixture, but seems to work for the Browner family. They said they want children eventually, but right now they have to settle for some Cabbage Patch dolls.
Well, that's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Buffalo Bills 10, the Minnesota Vikings 3. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets at Rich Stadium. The sun trying to poke through these clouds here in the Buffalo area. Lights are still on at the stadium, but it's real bright out there now. And the sun has been shining on the Buffalo Bills. They lead 10-3 as we begin the fourth quarter. Jerry Burns not happy, I'm sure, with the performance of his offense. And right now his defense has got to get it done. 2nd and 11. Kelly. Nearly sacked, but got the ball off. Are they going to call it a sack? Yes, for Keith Millard, number 75, first of the day by the Minnesota Vikings. Kind of a late call in making that a sack.
Oh, they protect the quarterback so much in that in the grass call. Now it works to the quarterback's disadvantage. Got an athlete like Kelly. He can't spring it loose. There you see Keith Millard down there at his knees. He brings him down late. But Jim had already gotten rid of the football, but that's the way that they're trying to protect these quarterbacks. So Millard's glad that they didn't protect him on that one.
So it is 3rd down and long now for Buffalo. The ball is back out at midfield. Vikings defense has done their job. Kelly, and intended for Trumaine Johnson. David Howard and a defensive corner, I believe Holt, collided there, breaking up the play, and it looks like Holt had the wind knocked out of him. He was the man who got a hand on the ball. May not be Holt. We'll double check here on this.
Right side of your screen, Jim Kelly fires it, and Trumaine is just not in position. That was almost an interception. And boy, oh boy, I tell you what, he got stuck by the ground. That was Carl Lee, I think, number 39. He really got a shot on the ground.
39, not 30, Holt, and they're working on him now. We'll return to Rich Stadium after this word from your local station. John Kidd's punt taken by Leo Lewis at the 15. And Lewis works his way up over the 20 near the 24-yard line of Minnesota. And we are just underway in the fourth quarter. Scott Radisick made the tackle on the play for Buffalo. So the Vikings offense has to crank it up here. We're in the final period. They trail by just a touchdown. Wade Wilson continues at quarterback, and the Vikings will start from their own 23-yard line.
We talked about Zimmerman earlier in the first half, number 65. Been holding up pretty well so far in terms of stamina in this ball game.
Alfred Anderson in motion. Swing it to Nelson. He gets the block and slips before he can turn it upfield. Got maybe 2 on the play. Shane Conlon covered him when he hit the turf. Wade Wilson, 12 of 23, 123 yards. That's Nelson's first carry since the first half. He had 47 yards rushing on 9 carries. Pardon me, that was a pass reception by Nelson, so he's still yet to carry the ball from scrimmage in this second half. 2nd down and 7. Well, let's call it 8. Wilson tipped. Incomplete. Jordan, the intended receiver.
The Buffalo Bills continue to switch people on that defensive line. Now number 96, Leon Seals, is coming back in the game. They like to bring in also Mike Pike, number 94. Ted Cottrell, the defensive line coach, will send in the plays. And there you see him signaling in the defense. He's in the red shirt.
They got the dime package in. Mitchell and Davis running the secondary on 3rd and long. 3 wide receivers for Minnesota. And whistles everywhere, flags and whistles.
False start, 65, nothing.
Zimmerman pulling back a little early there to set up for Wade Wilson. False start.
We talked about stamina, and that's one of the first signs that you may be getting tired when you start making those kinds of mistakes. But Zimmerman's an awfully good football player. Gary Zimmerman came to the NFL as an all-star out of the USFL and has continued that way.
Any better offensive tackles in the league?
No, he's a great one at left tackle. Jimbo Covert in Chicago is probably equal ability, but right now Jimbo's injured.
Third down, 12. Wilson for Carter. Broken up by Dwight Green. Did he get the ball? No, but he made the defensive play. Darryl Talley injured back in the first half, serving as a cheerleader now and firing up his defense. They have been consistently good all afternoon long. Scribner standing at his 5. Errol Tucker at the Buffalo 35. And the ball is blocked. No flags on the play.
Major league turnaround here. Hunter just fumbles the ball. Scribner just fumbles the ball. Now he's open. It's open season on him. As soon as that ball hits the ground, he can get hit. He completely missed the football when he tried to kick it. And now it's Buffalo's ball down on about, let's say the 10-yard line or so. Big turnover here.
Rob Riddick was the man leading the charge, and he came up with the ball. Scribner, on his attempt to get it off after he had bobbled the snap, missed the football. Thomas hit hard inside the line of scrimmage by the linebacker Berry. Walker Lee Ashley there with him, and there'll be maybe a loss of about a half yard.
Minnesota's thinking here, hey, look, at the very worst, let's come out of here with only giving up a field goal, because then we're still within 10 points in that striking distance with a quarter remaining. But they're in big trouble now. This is a very big turnover for them.
Gay continues at left defensive end for the rookie Al Noga. Walker Lee Ashley continues at the linebacking spot, held usually by Studwell. Kelly wants to throw to the corner, incomplete. A little high for Burkett. Carl Lee on the coverage.
Jim Kelly's laughing, enjoying himself out there now. He knows that right now the Buffalo Bills are controlling this football game.
Third down. 10 to go. They're just outside the 10-yard line. Defensive work by the Vikings. They did what you said they had to do there, Dan. They're going to bring up the field goal unit for Buffalo. So 3 good defensive plays by the Vikings defense, which has played solidly all day long.
And I really thought that Jim Kelly should have dumped that ball off to Jamie Mueller a lot earlier than he did. He surveyed downfield first and then came back to Mueller. But by that time, Mueller was covered. He was uncovered when the play first began.
You know, when you throw out that first drive that followed the Bennett interception, which led to the field goal, really the Vikings defense has done a good job holding Kelly and company to only 10 points. It's a 26-yard attempt. Norwood hits it. So it's now a 10-point differential with 11:37 to play fourth quarter. The Buffalo Bills on top 13-3.
This NFL game summary is sponsored by Seagram's Coolers. This is where the fun starts.
Well, this is how the game has gone thus far. The passing yards in favor of Buffalo, and the big play just occurred with Scribner of Minnesota missing the punt under pressure from the Buffalo rush. Rob Riddick recovered, and it led to another field goal that gave Buffalo a 13-3 lead here early in the fourth quarter. And Dan, certainly defense has been the story on both sides of the ball. Buffalo has stopped the Vikings cold. Vikings defense has kept them in the game.
They sure have, but you can't overemphasize the importance of that missed punt by Scribner. That turns the whole game around in terms of what Minnesota has to do now. They have to score twice, at least in this game, in order to get back in and tie it up or try to win it.
Well, that'll be up to Wade Wilson and Anthony Carter and Darren Nelson and the offensive guns of the Vikings offense, but this inspired Bills defense, playing in the absence of their all-pro Bruce Smith, has just been real tough all day long. Darrell Harris, the rookie, back to receive the kickoff. Has it at the 7-yard line. Crashes out to the 26, and the Vikings will start from there.
Bob Snelker, the offensive coordinator there, having a conversation with Wade Wilson before he sends them out to war. And they understand now that they have got to get it cooking. Wade Wilson's got to do something dramatic. He's been able to accomplish it in preseason, but now it counts for real. And I'm sure Tommy Kramer is over on the sideline saying, hey, gee, maybe you want to give me a shot at it before the game is over.
13 of 26, the numbers for Wilson, 126 yards. First down, 11:28 to go. Regulation time. One pump off to the release man, and the Bills were all over that. Nelson, nowhere to go. Art Still, the veteran, acquired from Kansas City. Got new young legs today.
Yeah, Minnesota's trying to run a screen, and Art is running it better than the halfbacks for the Minnesota Vikings. When you get an older player like that who doesn't rush as hard up outside as Art does not, it's very difficult to run a screen on him because he's not giving you that upfield action that you need in order to clear it out and allow your running back to slip around on the outside.
Are you telling me the fact that he's old and slow actually helped him in that play?
No, but that's the kind of player he is. He plays with those long arms. He tries to keep the lineman off of him, and he watches everything.
Second down and 15, a 5-yard loss on the play. Wilson upfield for Jordan, wide open in the middle. And Jordan makes a big play for the Vikings into Buffalo territory at the 48-yard line. Kelso and Grain, the safeties, converged on him, but he was open when he caught it, a 32-yard gain.
Minnesota, Buffalo talked to us yesterday about Minnesota vacating the post. That time, that's exactly what Buffalo did. Middle of your screen, watch right down between the hash marks. Jordan comes back, makes an out movement, comes back in. That's a little post in there. Now it's clean in there. Then you see the two safeties collapsing back in. It's too late. Shane Conlon can't keep up with a Steve Jordan now.
Looked for a minute like he had a choice of a football or a beach ball to catch there in that picture, but the beach ball's in the stands. Wilson throwing on first down. Eluding the pressure. Finds Alfred Anderson for a gain of 8 to the 40-yard line of the Bills. Ray Bentley, the linebacker, made the hit on him, number 50.
Wade's improving his numbers dramatically in the second half. But the only one that counts is whether or not you win.
It'll leave a 2nd and 1. Linebacker Hal Garner comes in for Darryl Talley. Talley comes out with a slight limp. He was hurt back in the first half. He gave it a try, but he still hurt it. Short pitch for Finney, and he slipped down right at the line of scrimmage. No gain. Bentley was there to cover him.
We were talking about Bentley earlier in the game and the fact that, and there you see Bob Snelker, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, sending in his jumbo offense with the two big tight ends. But Bentley and one of his teammates have teamed up to make some children's books, and it's unusual to see linebackers making children's books.
Yeah, he writes kids' books and sports columns. He says, I'm a writer playing football, not a football player writing. 3 tight ends in on the short yardage, Balarkey and Kaufman. Paul Kaufman, the new acquisition by the Vikings. And they are stuffed by the Buffalo Bills. Leon Seals with the first contact.
Woo! You gotta like that. Look at 96 Seals. Doctor sack. Hey, that whole right side of that defensive line for Buffalo's changed around. Now Garner's in there instead of Talley. Leon Seals is in there, 96, instead of Bruce Smith. Here you see the play. Now watch him stuff it up front. There you go. Right side now. Garner stuffs it outside. Dr. Sack comes in from the inside, and they make a big play. Shane Conlon helps on the tackle as well.
A lot of guys around the ball. That's what you like to see. 4th down. Vikings will punt. And now Studwell calls a timeout. Didn't like the look of something. They were spooked, I guess, from that last punt play, which saw Scribner bobble the ball and then drop it and lose it to the Bills.
Well, what they were trying to do, Minnesota was trying to draw Buffalo offside because it's 4th down and about 2 or 3 yards. So you give them that hard count. Then if you don't draw them off, you just run out of time, move the ball back a little bit, and give your punter an opportunity to short kick it.
Well, that's what they'll do. There's Wilson. Wilson coming back on the field for the Vikings. So they didn't get that offside, and they're going to take one more shot at the 1st down. They've got the offense back on. Well, this is interesting.
Why not 4th quarter with 8 minutes, 22 seconds remaining? You're on your 40-yard line. You got to go for it. Now, Minnesota knows that time is running out in this football game. Wade Wilson's telling his guys it's do or die time now. 4th down and 2 yards, gut check time for the Minnesota Vikings.
The crowd is on its feet, 80,000 strong. Complete to Hassan Jones. All the way down to the 11-yard line. Make it the 12 where he's pushed out of bounds. Hassan Jones, number 84. And Wilson delivers the goods.
People may wonder why Hassan Jones is starting instead of Leo Lewis. Hassan Jones catches everything that comes his way. And there you see him, the quick slant through the middle. Avoids a tackle, now heads to the sideline because he's trying to get that timeout as well, and knows that if he gets out of bounds, that clock stops and saves a little bit of time for his teammates and for Jerry Burns, the head coach.
Third-year man from Florida State. And Wilson calmly delivered the ball right on target. 1st down, Vikings. Converting the 4th and 2. Big play indeed. Aaron Nelson dancing inside, got only a couple. Next on CBS Sports, coverage of the U.S. Open. And we are told that they have suspended play there because of rain, but you'll get a full update on all of the upsets, and they have been considerable during the first week of the Open. And then we'll give you a replay of one of the great matches ever at the Open. John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg, the year McEnroe's taken claim to #1. It was a real thriller. So we've got tennis activity ahead following NFL football, and we'll be back with our live coverage tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern Time from the U.S. Open. 2nd down. Quarterback drive. Wilson is stopped for about 1-yard pickup. Art Still.
Dr. Sack, 96, Leon Seals is out there cheering again. I tell you what, these guys are getting excited. They knew they had to turn it up a notch today, and they certainly have. Ground level shot. Now watch the pressure defensively. Now watch number 11, Wade Wilson. He's looking for somewhere to run. Dr. Sack gets in there along with, I believe that's Freddie Smirlis, number 76. They call him Dr. Sack. Now, they were over at a local hospital and facility over at the university, and he parked in one of the doctor's parking spaces, and the nurses came out and said, "You can't park there. You're not a doctor." He says, "Yes, I look at my license plate. It says Dr. Sack." They let him park there.
They won't give him a parking ticket after this game. 3rd down. Wilson, complete. The tight end, Mike Malarkey, number 86. Close to a 1st down. The ball at the 7-yard line. Ray Bentley and Scott Radisick making the tackle on Malarkey, and an official timeout for a measurement. 6:46 remains in regulation time. Vikings need to score twice. Buffalo's defense has stymied them all day long, but they're now deep in Bills territory. They need about a foot.
Bob Snelker likes to try dangerous things down here, and I would not be surprised to see him go for an end zone pass in this situation.
Fourth down. They just converted a 4th and 2 to keep this drive alive. So the pass to Hassan
Indeed, they're spreading it out. You see their wide receivers spread out.
Lewis in the slot right. Gustafson, Carter on the left side. Alfred Anderson, he has the first down to the 5-yard line. So they showed pass and ran it up the gut.
Good thing Alfred Anderson rechecked and got the snap count right.
So Anderson powers his way to the 5, and that quiets the crowd momentarily.
Look at that. Chicago Bears scored 28-7 over the Miami Dolphins. "41-14, the Eagles beating up on Tampa Bay.
Detroit doing the same to Atlanta. And the Rams to Green Bay. High scores. Finney to the 2-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. San Francisco at New Orleans. They've moved ahead of the Saints 31-24, but we are told that Joe Montana has a hand injury of some kind, is on the sidelines with ice on it, and that must mean that Steve Young is now operating at quarterback for the 49ers.
And the Buffalo Bills have just put in their goal line defense, more big people up front.
Jeff Wright, number 91, comes in there to help out. And they stop the Vikings at the 1-yard line. It'll leave 3rd and goal.
Buffalo got excellent penetration on this play. Look in the middle of your screen. That's where the Vikings are trying to run. Then you see them reestablishing the line of scrimmage as a defensive line. Then the linebackers coming up over the top, and that stops them. Shane Conlon, number 58, was the jumper there and prevented the Minnesota Vikings from scoring.
Third and goal. Let's hand out to Allen Rice. Touchdown. Well, that was a sore point with the Vikings through much of last year. When they'd get in close, they had trouble getting it into the end zone. But Allen Rice, the veteran from Baylor, pops it through. And now with 4:38 to go, the Vikings have closed the gap.
Allen Rice, I'm sure, had to ask somebody if he scored because he has his back turned and he's stumbling, going backwards, going in. No outside pursuit defensively for the Bills there, and that's how come Rice is able to stumble in backwards.
So Chuck Nelson will attempt the point after. Minnesota is back in this football game, trailing by 3 with 4:38 still to play regulation time. Buffalo 13, Minnesota 10. Tim Ryan with Dan Jig. It's 4:38 to go. The question I have about Marv Levy and the Buffalo Bills now, Dan, is do they keep doing what's been working for them, which is basically the short passing game from Jim Kelly, or trying to protect this lead, will they run the ball more and play a little more safe?
I see him sitting down there next to Elijah Pitts, the running back coach, and I'm sure what Marv is thinking, we have 90 yards rushing in this game so far. Not really outstanding, but you mix that in with a little bit of that short passing game, which is like a long handoff, and that's been getting it done for Buffalo, and that will continue to be getting it done for them.
Well, they didn't rush well in the preseason either. They're still trying to put that together. Meanwhile, look what's happening down in the Superdome. 31-26. Sound funny? Yes, it is. Pat Swilling caught Steve Young in the end zone for a safety. So the Saints still very much in that one. 4:36 to play here. Kickoff taken by Ronnie Harmon. Harmon shakes tacklers off and returns it very well indeed to the 33-yard line. And Jim Kelly comes on to lead this Buffalo offense. Paul Kaufman made the tackle for the Vikings. 17-yard return by Ronnie Harmon, who lost his starting running back job to the rookie Thurman Thomas. Bills from their own 33-yard line. They've got to keep the football. 4:27 to go. They lead by 3. And they go to the air right away. Incomplete. Flag down. Intended for Reed. Isaac Holt on the coverage may get an interference call.
Yeah, he challenged the receiver too much on that one.
Yes, he does.
Holding, number 30, defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Defensive holding rather than interference to call. He spun the receiver around, I guess.
left side of your screen, number 30, Isaac Holt on the play. Now, there you see the hole now. He's trying to go past him. He's using that arm bar rule. It's a new rule this year that allows the defensive backs to use their arm a little bit to, almost like basketball. You see them hand checking or hip checking a player, but there when the receiver comes back to the ball, you got to give it up.
First down, Buffalo. And it's thrown away by Kelly. A flag was down before he released the football, however.
Again, new selection here in grounding the football. He's allowed to throw it into the ground like that. But if it looks like he's going to get sacked, he can't do it. If it's just to save time, he can get away with it. But if it looks like he's doing it because he feels that he's going to get sacked, then it's a penalty.
Illegal motion, number 88, offense. Penalty is declined. Second down.
So the illegal motion penalty called against the Bills. Declined by Minnesota. Now Kelly says, hey, these aren't the guys that want out here. And there's some confusion here as they head back to the sideline. Riddick and Trumaine Johnson and Ronnie Harmon were coming in, but Kelly sent them off. 2nd and 10. The quarterback's got something else in mind here. Reed wide right, Burkett left. Kelly finds Reed on that little slant, and he is hit immediately after a gain of about 3 yards. Ball came loose, but play had already been whistled dead.
And once again, you can't fumble it forward. It would go back to the spot where it was originally fumbled, even after it was recovered by Pete Metzelaars. And he looks like he's dinged up a little bit, the tight end, number 88.
Pete Metzelaars, the tight end.
We were in the locker room yesterday with Pete, and his young son was in there, and he must be about 4 or 5 years old, and he wanted his dad to spat him up like he sees all the pro players spatted up. So finally his dad took him in the training room and spatted him up, and he was embarrassed because we noticed it.
So Butch Roll will come in to replace him, number 87. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Kelly just got it away, and it's nearly intercepted, intended for Reed. Joey Browner on the safety blitz put the hit on the quarterback, and the near intercept was by Carl Lee, but it's 4th down.
Joey Browner starts on this blitz from downtown Buffalo, and he almost gets Jim Kelly. There you see him left side of your screen putting the pressure on. Kelly just dumps it off, and it's a very unfortunate play for Carl Lee because he could have had the interception and taken it back quite possibly for the score, but for Jim Kelly, he says he just dodged the bullet.
Well, the Vikings, nonetheless, have stopped the Bills again. And this Vikings defense has really done the job today. Leo Lewis back, waiting for the punt from John Kidd. Vikings D has given the Vikings O an opportunity here. Lewis has some running room. Slips down at about the 24-yard line. And covered there by Jamie Mueller. 48-yard punt. Kidd has punted the ball well for Buffalo. We'll be back at Rich Stadium. Buffalo leading by 3. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York, where the Buffalo Bills are now clinging to a 3-point lead. A turnover by Cornelius Bennett, an interception way back early in this ball game led to the first point, the field goal by Norwood. And then at halftime, the Bills led 10-3 after Nelson had scored the only 3 points of the day at that point for Minnesota to make it 10-3, and Thomas had added a 5-yard touchdown for Buffalo. But here in the second half, you can see the Vikings have turned the stats around in the passing department. 86-25 as the Vikings defense has been able to stop Jim Kelly. Now it's up to the offense. They need to get downfield with 3 minutes to play. And the pass complete to Alfred Anderson to the 35-yard line.
Tim, you can see it in the way that the offensive line is pass protecting for Wade Wilson. They are now playing with a sense of urgency.
2:53 and counting down. A first down from the Viking 35. Wilson is 19 of 32 now. In his face, he gets the ball off. Incomplete. Jordan in the area, but Wilson just wanted to unload.
And what I meant about playing with a sense of urgency, and that is the offensive line protecting Wade Wilson, is now watch that offensive line. You see those arms snapping out, and they're getting that good punch off those defensive linemen, trying to prevent them from getting any penetration and getting near their quarterback.
2nd and 10 Vikings from their own 35. Two teams that figure to do very well this season, each of them trying to get victory number 1. Lots of time for Wilson. Can't find a man open, however. Good coverage downfield. He'll have to run with it. Takes it out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Art still forced him out.
Minnesota's receivers, and what Wade Wilson is screaming about is your receivers have to come back to the quarterback when they know he's in trouble and he's scrambling. And they're still running their patterns. You got to come back, give them an opportunity to drill the ball to you downfield.
3rd down and 5. Well, the defensive play of the game for the Buffalo Bills. Wilson will try to come up with the biggest offensive play of the day. Minnesota, he converted a 4th and 2 in the last drive. Led to Rice's touchdown. He is sacked. The linebacker, Hal Garner. 5th sack of the day for the Bills.
Hal Garner gets the sack after being cut down at the knees. Now, ground level, middle of your screen, watch number 99. He gets cut by Dave Huffman, number 72, but you can't cut a linebacker because he's a good athlete, and there you see him. He just crawls in and gets the sack.
Well, what a great effort by Hal Garner.
Excellent. Look at those sack totals today. Buffalo, 6 sacks. Sometimes they go 3 games without getting that many.
Garner spent last year in injured reserve. He's backing up Darryl Talley. Talley hurt his ankle, and Garner comes up with a big play. Fair catch, Tucker at the 26-yard line of Buffalo. And we have 1:58 to go. The 2-minute warning is sounded. Tim Ryan with Dan Jiggets. Marv Levy didn't see his offense help out too much when they last had the ball, but his defense continues to be the factor. And now Buffalo has the football and the lead with less than 2 minutes to play.
Well, we said Machine Gun Kelly, a lot of bullets, and just they don't go too far. But now look at the passing situation there. They've lined up equal in terms of yardage, but Kelly's been much more effective, at least, especially in the first half.
1st down from their own 26. Thurman Thomas, and he is stuffed by Joey Browner, who has really become a factor in the last 2 series. He's just coming up on everything, Dan, getting into the mix in the middle and from the outside.
You get some players that know how to rise up to the occasion, and Joey Browner is one of them. He knows now that it's do or die time for the Vikes.
Vikings have called timeout. They have 1 remaining. First final score of the day up there. It'll be 2nd and 12 after the 2-yard loss. This telecast has been presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Buffalo Bills and the National Football League is prohibited. Lights have been on all day, but the sun has come out to shine on these Buffalo Bills, trying to get their first victory of the season. They've lost 5 season openers in a row, and they're being talked about as the title winners in the AFC East.
And this is kind of a shock for the Minnesota Vikings, especially for Floyd Peters. 1 sack on the day for his defensive line. I was picking the Vikings to be the Central Division champions in the NFC, and this is no way to start out if you're going to be champions this year.
2nd down and 12.
I still am picking them, by the way, to be NFC Central champions.
Yeah, it's a long season. 15 more to go. Movement along the front. Flags are down. Thomas, the ball carrier. He's stuffed for no gain, maybe a yard. Dolman moved, but was he drawn? We'll wait and see what Bob McElwee and company, officiating crew, says. No, it's against Minnesota.
I thought I saw the officials say number 75, and let's see if that's the case. It's Bob McElwee. He's going to
offside, number 56, defense.
You're right, it was Chris Dolman.
2nd down.
You know, here in this kind of a situation, your coaches tell you, be smart. Don't give up a silly penalty. In that case, I know Chris Dolman wants to get to that quarterback. He hasn't seen him too often this afternoon, and in that case, he just jumped offside. Chris Dolman had an all-pro season last year and has slipped a bit. He feels, though, that they really need Doug Martin back in here to come together as a defensive line. They don't have that attitude right now.
What a big play by the Buffalo Bills. They did it on the ground with the rookie Thurman Thomas. 29 yards and a first down. 132 and counting.
And that could well have been the ball game play. Now, left side of your screen, Dolman, 56, is going to slant down inside. That causes problems outside because you get hook blocks out there, and now you have to rely on John Harris, number 44, to make the play, and he can't do it. The ball's way downfield, and Walker Lee actually trying to get in on the tackle, but it's too late. Buffalo Bills just sealed this game.
Vikings take their final timeout. And Buffalo has the football at the 44-yard line of Minnesota. Well, tonight on CBS, if it's Sunday, it must be 60 Minutes. And if it's 60 Minutes, it's everybody's favorite news magazine, followed by Murder, She Wrote, and the CBS Sunday movie Higher Ground with John Denver. Tonight on CBS, following our tennis activity that follows NFL football, coverage from the U.S. Open. And again tomorrow, the U.S. Open, 12:30 Eastern Time, all-day coverage.
And Leon Seals, number 96, big day. We said at the top of the game that he had to rise to the occasion, and that's exactly what he did.
The old man Art Still played awfully well on the other side.
Yes, he did.
We don't want to call him the old man too old.
He's younger than me.
There's young Cornelius Bennett, a big factor today. In fact, he really started off this ball game on the right foot because he made that interception lying on his back that led to the first points of the game, the field goal by Norwood.
Yeah, they nicknamed him Biscuit, and there's no question about it. He's a good football player. And there you see Seals again with Freddie Smirlis. Freddie was talking to him a lot yesterday at practice, telling him how he had to rush the passer. Dwight Drain and Mark Kelso there. Everybody in Buffalo is happy. I told you this town is trying to come back. This team is trying to come back. It's an exciting event when they can win their opener.
Well, they have so much regard for the Vikings. Everybody talking about the Vikings being one of the best teams in the NFC this year. So this means an awful lot to the Buffalo Bills as they use up the rest of this clock. 80,000 assembled here enjoying their first victory of the season.
Gotta let them enjoy it now, Tim.
It is now official. The Buffalo Bills have won their first game 13-10 over the Minnesota Vikings. 15 more to go for each of these teams, who may well both be headed to the playoff action. Final score 13-10. We'll be back.